you write it one way, it's acted another way, and then you see it in the cut another way. And so what you love on the page, you may change when you're watching it being shot. And then when you're seeing it on the screen cut together, you're like, oh, wait a minute. That's so that's so good, And so I think that's what's so great and surprising about the whole process.
I was so excited to dive into season 2. I loved the episodes. And Susan, my first question is for you. Season 1 of Perry Mason was an origin story of sorts, bringing together Della, Paul, and Perry at the end. So how would you describe this stage of Perry's story?
Well, that's a good question. So yeah, we sort of joke at the end of season 1, the super friends have united and they all have what they think they want in their life. Della's got a path towards becoming a lawyer and Perry is now a lawyer, so a steady job. And Paul Drake's going to be their detective and man, they're going to conquer the world. Cut to top of season 2. Well, you can't start them in that place. Like, how fun is that? So we thought about what would happen in that 6 months in between? And what happens when you get that thing you think you want? Well, with that comes a lot of responsibility and it comes a whole new set of problems. And underneath all of this, simmering, as you see in the first few episodes, is a secret that Perry is harboring that has had a profound effect on the way he is taking the firm and the direction it's taking. And that's affecting Della's life. That's affecting Paul's life. So what we wanted to do was sort of acknowledge where we left season 1, but start them on kind of uneasy footing and really trying to figure out what it means to move forward with these new sort of decisions that they had made by the end of that first season.
Definitely. And they're carrying a lot from that first season, the death of EB, the whole Dodson case, all of these things. And Michael, you came into the world of Perry Mason with this season. So I was curious, number one, what was the thing that you found most fascinating about Matthew Rhys's iteration of the character? And number two, how do you kind of crack a new mystery while still invoking the one and the character work that has been done in the first season?
Coming into it, and I mean, seeing season 1 and just being even before coming onto it, just being a fan of the show, being a fan of Matthew, I think that what he brings this both a sense of confidence to the character, but also a sense of vulnerability, which I think is an important combination. As Susan has said, like you see it in his eyes, and he also has a sense of humor, and I think having all those qualities makes it a great not only person but character to write for. I would then say cracking a mystery is damn hard, but I think we start from the place of we start from character. Where are they? And as Susan said, like, where do we want to start them in terms of their next chapter of their journey? And then looking at the history of the city. I think we wanted to explore more of the city this season. We wanted to expand on what was established in first season. I will say this, that one of my first meetings was with Susan, and Robert was sort of it was a Zoom, and he sort of came in from the side, and he just mentioned this one word. He said oil, that stuck in my mind, and that was a germ that grew.
Oh, it grew. There were so many twists, so many turns that were so exciting this season. Obviously, not going to get into any of that right now, but and the season ends on such an interesting note. And Susan, I was curious, considering everything going on at Warner's and HBO, there's a lot of questions hanging over some shows there. Did you end this season with that in mind, or do you still have plans and hopes for a third season?
Oh, we definitely did not end it in mind of any politics or changes or anything happening at the network. No. We just want to tell the best story. We just want to go on the most interesting journey for Perry. And if we're fortunate enough to have a third season, we definitely know there's a ton more story to tell, both from a character standpoint, but also really rich and juicy mysteries and expanding even more areas and arenas of Los Angeles as we move forward through the 30s. I mean, we're just excited for everybody to see the second season, and again, would jump at the opportunity to continue.
Michael, you co-wrote so many episodes. You went solo in the finale. Who would you say is the most exciting new character or most challenging new character you got to write for? Because, you have Hope Davis. You've got so many interesting elements going on.
Oh my God. That's a good question.
How do you pick a favorite child?
Yeah, exactly. They're all my favorite. They're all challenging. I think because we had so many different storylines, I did enjoy really diving into each world. I love going into Paul's world. I love going into Della's world and into the world of the have and have-nots, the Gallardos at the Hooverville. All of it. It's also interesting to me. I mean, that's what is so great about doing historic drama is that you get to go into all these different places and play.
Well, and they are so different. It would probably be impossible to compare. I do think we all have a soft spot for the Strickland Perry dynamic, though, because there comes the levity in the show. It was always important from day one, season one, to not have it a bleak world. You want it to be an entertaining world that, is dealing with real things and the stakes are high and all the emotional stakes are equally as high. And yet you want to be able to laugh or at least have that sense of humor. And I think Strick provides that. So that was always important.
And I also would say, you write it one way, it's acted another way, and then you see it in the cut another way. And so what you love on the page, you may change when you're watching it being shot. And then when you're seeing it on the screen cut together, you're like, oh, wait a minute. That's so that's so good, And so I think that's what's so great and surprising about the whole process.
Oh, and we had amazing, amazing actors this season, other than our leads or people who were returning, the new cast of people who came on. It was just such a pleasure to see them bring it to life.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole cast was excellent. And one last quick question before I go, tying into my earlier question about this stage of Perry's story. If you could describe the next stage in one or two non-spoilery words, what would you say?
You mean like a season 3 or season 2?
Like the next stage.
Continuing to evolve as a human.
Yes, there you go.
Good. Amazing. Awesome. Well, let me just say I love the season. Thank you so much for your time today, guys. It was such a pleasure speaking with you both.
Nice talking to you. Thank
you.
Thank you.